You try to manifest, you try to empower yourself, and by trying to empower yourself, by trying to prove your empowerment to yourself in the form of manifestation, you only dig a deeper hole of this shit isn't working, and I'm not loved, and I'm not worthy, and I'm not capable. So if you're manifesting something that's truly in alignment with your focus, your desired focus in this life, it generally manifests effortlessly to support you. But if you're desiring something that goes against your true desire, which you might not be aware of, you tend to struggle. It tends to not work out for you that well. If you are actually on your path completely, and you're able to stay on your path completely out of your own free wisdom, the limitation will disappear. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Wonderful. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. It was my fault this time. So, our session on manifestation. Every time I try to tune into it, I've been having trouble still, up until about today. And again, the main reason was that simply answering you guys' questions and talking about methods and things like that just didn't resonate, didn't flow for me. So today I wrote down a 10-page document that I will be reading from a lot, and then I'll leave some room for questions based on that. And it'll be self-explanatory why I did that. And afterwards, I will send it to you guys. Don't mind the typos and stuff. I just wrote it real quick this morning. Haven't edited it yet, but I'll get you the PDF after the session. So for the next, it'll probably take me about 40 minutes to read. I'm estimating. I just tune in and try to follow the words. I might pause every once in a while and give an additional clarification, just sort of face to face. But I wanted to write this out first and kind of get my thoughts clear on this subject matter before we proceed with anything that is manifestation related. Then potentially next session, we can be more nuanced about it, be more specific about the tools, the methods, how these kinds of things show up in your life, whether they're unique challenges when you're dealing with this, when you're trying to manifest your desired reality, and so on. But this will give a good foundation to where I will then feel like you are properly informed. And from there, we can take it to the next level. I will take a couple of minutes to look at your faces and say hi from my heart, and then I'll start reading. Fantastic faces. All right, let's get straight into it. I titled it Holistic Manifestation. Preface. understanding the why and how of manifestation. In this session, I wish to help you understand the mechanics, nature, and ultimate intention behind the concept of manifestation or creation, rather than merely telling you how to make use of it or what to use it for. I understand that people like to know how to manifest their desired reality. YouTube, workshops, podcasts, and books are filled with tips and tricks, hacks and shortcuts on how to manifest your desired experiential reality. These channels will, for a time, continue to be much more popular and sought after than channels such as my own. But all of this, how do I manifest what I want ASAP, seeking, misses a few crucial understandings regarding the nature and purpose of even having an experiential reality, or the experiential reality which you have already created for yourself. Because of this lack of holistic vision or understanding, these quick methods and tricks are often used by the conscious physical mind of an entity to go against its very own deeper purpose and reasons for having the experiential reality which they have already created for themselves. The result? Millions of self-proclaimed manifestors are battling uphill against their very own true desires when they are attempting to manifest what they think they want by this or that method. Entire communities exist around this skill to oppose their own soul by abusing the universal mechanisms, by going off of their very partial understanding of the art of manifestation, which they have acquired from YouTube. In my opinion, a deeper, more holistic understanding is required, first, if you wish to truly increase your happiness, power, wisdom, and spiritual mastery. Manifestation will always follow after where you truly at and show you what you truly need. As Mr. Christ famously said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added unto you." That is why I will dedicate this session to helping you understand the mechanics and reason for manifesting experiential realities. You may then, according to your own free will, use this knowledge however you see fit. But I do not wish to be complicit in you using your ignorance, aka partial knowledge, applied against your very own self or soul by me telling you what to do or how to make something happen. Perhaps in a follow-up session, or if time allows in this session, I can answer such specific questions and we can engage more fully in the tips and tricks of manifesting your desired experience. But not before I lay out the holistic vision, which I believe you need to understand in order to operate in true harmony with your soul and the Creator or Source. The four dimensions and causal order of manifestation. The four dimensions and causal order, or chronology, you could say, of manifestation. And for those who have studied the four bodies session, this will be easier for you to understand. This will plug into that. So the four levels are: level 1, essence/potential, aka the great causal body or the great causal level. Number 2, blueprint or seed level or dimension, aka causal. Level 3, energetic/electromagnetic, aka subtle. And 4, the physical or material, aka gross. How to manifest? How does it happen? You already are manifesting your experiential reality all the time at max capacity. It is inherent and automatic. That is why you can look up from your computer and see the sky, the mountains, the ocean, or your neighbor's house. Although the physical mind does partake to a small degree in the art of manifesting, it does so mainly as a reactor and manipulator to what it has already caused, created, and attracted to its conscious experience from the subtler dimensions of its overall consciousness, rather than the physical mind being the source of a manifestation or a true creator. The fact that you continually produce some experiential reality for yourself to be aware of and interact with or react to without the need of conscious intent, similar to how your heart beats without you needing to do it or be aware of it, is proof that manifestation in its truest sense is not ultimately performed by the conscious or physical mind. This needs to be understood and accepted if you wish to increase your manifestational awareness or mastery. Far too many people try to will their manifestations into being with their physical mind. It is the causal mind, or what we've called the unconscious in our society, which determines the overall experiential reality you are having from the level of the causal plane. This sets the stage and determines the parameters for every resulting materialization of which you are conscious. It is then the subtle mind, or the subconscious, as we've called it, which interacts with and molds or manipulates the elements within this experiential reality electromagnetically, which then determines the specific experiential elements, beings, objects, and apparent changes which are seemingly attracted into your experiential reality over some period of linear time. So again, the causal mind sets the stage and determines the parameters. And it is why you can look up from your screen and see a wall without having to materialize that wall consciously. It is there, the parameters are set, the stage is set. Then the subconscious mind is that greater, subtler body within which you can manipulate or alter certain thoughts, ideas, and so on. And you're effectively electromagnetically making alterations, which then consequently will attract, as we have termed it. It's not really that you're attracting it, but you could see it that way. You're attracting certain events and things into your physical mind's awareness, typically over some period of time. So what this subconscious, if you will, or what the subtle mind materializes or alters includes both things of a subtle or energetic nature, which are typically quicker to manifest, such as thoughts, moods, feelings, imaginations, insights, different kinds of guidance, and so on, as well as the physical materials or elements attracted into your experience, which typically take a little bit more time to show up, the physical component, as you're probably frustratingly aware of. And it is the physical mind, then, or what we've called the conscious mind, which is able to react to what the causal and subtle minds have already put in place and attract it to its conscious observer self, to then further manipulate the material plane through its physical vehicle, aka your material body, motion, speech, and action, using your physical mind's rather limited or shallow free will. Most people who wish to alter their experiential reality attempt to do so by manifesting the change they desire to see exclusively from their conscious physical mind and its corresponding physical body or vehicle, aka get a job, go out on a date, buy a car, build a house, etc. These are the things which can be accomplished by means of the physical body interacting with the physical world. So as you can tell, that's a very small portion of what manifestation actually is or what causes it. And here's the main thing I want you to get from this session. It's the following subchapter. The two benevolent limitations to manifestation and how to respect them so you can work with them. You are, in essence, a god. So why can you not say unto that mountain, move from here to yonder, and have the mountain actually move right in front of your eyes? Here's a quote from the Law of One. Questioner, then if an individual entity is totally informed with respect to the Law of One and lives and is the Law of One, such things as the building of a pyramid by direct mental effort would be commonplace. Is that what I am to understand? I am Ra. You are incorrect in that there is a distinction between the individual power through the Law of One and the combined or societal memory complex mind-body-spirit understanding of the Law of One. In the first case, only the one individual, purified of all flaws, could move a mountain. In the case of mass understanding of unity, each individual may contain an acceptable amount of distortion, and yet the mass mind could move mountains. End of quote. As I have come to understand it, there are two primary limitations in place, which are removed only to one who has attained complete perfection and flawlessness in all of itself. And even then, the first limitation mentioned below would still apply, although it would be automatically honored by such an entity, and as such, it is not a limitation upon the flawless entity, but rather a manifestation of its own innate wisdom, which it would not violate for any temptation or reason. Limitation 1. The veil of confusion, aka respecting free will. There is a veil which limits your manifestational abilities, at least when we're coming at it from a conventional state of consciousness. This is the veil of confusion. Or more understandably put, it is a limitation which allows for your free will and that of other selves to remain truly free and not disproportionately influenced or interrupted. Confusion is a great gift. To not know everything, to not see everything, and to not be able to move mountains at will is a gift to our journeys. You see, while our egos or physical minds might prefer to move mountains at will, over learning the true purpose of our existence and merging with it, what the Creator within us actually desires for us is the purification and ascension of our soul into the infinite unity and that unspeakable freedom of source. So while moving a mountain on a tiny rock floating through the Creator's manifest plenum, or what we call space, aka Earth, might be impressive to your neighbors and friends' minds for a short moment in eternal time, is comparatively utterly meaningless and unimpressive in the eyes of Source. What you truly desire is unity with God. For that far exceeds the accomplishment of moving a mountain at conscious will. Being able to move a mountain at will would only be granted to you by your higher self if the act of doing so would serve the true purpose of creation and not interfere with it within your own development, or through it within your own development or that of other selves. This is why what we call miracles are rarely ever documented or seen by the masses. Miracles are simply manifestations which bypass the causal parameters set forth for the purpose of our particular consensus experiential reality. They are not impossibilities, and they are not mechanically more difficult than building a house with your physical hands. In fact, I would argue that building a house with your physical hands is far more arduous than performing what most people think of as a miracle. However, because they would in most scenarios break the law of confusion, they are typically only performed naturally by highly awakened beings in the privacy of their own experiential reality, when relevant, or in front of a small group of those who already believe in the infinite nature of reality and already possess sufficient context and personal maturity to not let such miracles, which can be occasionally practical, by the way, and they are not just for showing off the power of consciousness to bystanders, but they are akin to building a house. They serve a purpose. To not dissuade them from their organic seeking processes. Respecting the free will of all involved, including the free will of the apparent commander of such miracles, is why there appear to be limitations upon what you can manifest at will. This law of confusion applies to any reality, in our case, our collective 3D Earth game, where there is a collective who chooses to incarnate in that particular realm to learn specific lessons, which are most properly learned through the parameters or limitations which pertain to that particular realm. In simpler terms, if you could walk through walls right now, you would not have to learn how to create a door. To translate this analogy spiritually, if you had limitless access to your innately limitless and godlike powers, you would not be as interested in all the things which currently occupy your desires and focus. And as a result, you would not be learning all the things and balances which you came here to learn. Being bound to certain parameters serves your higher intentions for being here. In addition to what's relevant for you as an individual, we'll get to that in a second limitation, the law of confusion applies to an entire collective, which is again why you won't see too many mass-scale miracles happen or be documented yet in public, until our collective reaches a point where their true journeys will no longer be as disrupted or distracted by such phenomena. The more a collective understands that this is essentially an infinite, ultimately immaterial, illusory creation, where anything is possible, the more this law of confusion and its apparent limitations will loosen up or expand in its parameters for what is allowed to be commonplace. Because the same restrictions are no longer agreed upon by the collective's unconscious mind, aka the collective causal body. When a restriction is no longer truly needed, it is lifted, usually automatically and naturally. What we call miracles today, 100 years from now, assuming our current spiritual acceleration increases exponentially as it is, we will accept as commonplace usage of natural. So what we call miracles today, we will then accept as commonplace usage of natural physics or abilities. It will no longer shock and surprise us, throw us off guard, and have us change our spiritual journeys unnaturally. As such, performing miracles 100 years from now would not conflict with the law of free will, aka the law of confusion. As such, the law of confusion is flexible or adaptive and changes depending on the agreements made within that collective. I hope this makes sense. If not, just take a mental note. I'll finish reading this document. We're about halfway through, and then you can ask questions later. Limitation 2, relevance and purpose, aka why you incarnated. The other primary reason why you may not see immediate results in your desired miracles, or even what you would consider to be day-to-day, smaller scale manifestations, is because of personal or individual relevance. We each have come here for specific reasons. We want to balance something out within our soul so we can ascend further towards the one source. Ultimately, we seek for the perfection of God to be embodied within our individuated consciousness. Limitations serve certain purposes. For instance, if you are physically disabled, it promotes a very different focus in life and usage of your mind and heart than if you are a top athlete who performs at the highest level of physical capacity. If the one who is physically disabled was able to change their condition at will, and I believe that in essence they are, if it wasn't for these two primary benevolent limitations, then they would not focus their mind and spirit in the ways that they wanted to when they chose to incarnate. So for them, being able to run again would be a distraction. It might seem like fun to their minds, understandably, but to what they actually desire, it would distract them from that purpose. And that is more important, to the soul at least. So sometimes when it feels like life is working against us, what is really happening is that our conscious mind, with its very narrow understanding of its own true soul desires, is working against its own creation of limitations. So when it feels like life is working against us, it is actually us working against what we truly desire. Friction goes both ways, right? Like if you feel the friction, it seems like life is against you, but it is because you're against life, so to speak. Limitations are benevolent. They are not real, they are not final, and they are not the truth. And you have my word on all these. But they are there for a reason. And in many cases, when you are trying to manifest a significant change in your experiential reality, such as going from disabled to being able to walk again, just an analogy, you first must understand the reason for your present limitations. Otherwise, you will spend many years trying to manifest a fully abled body against your own soul's desire. This causes unnecessary anguish and resentment towards God, the universe, and yourself. And you've all been there, no? You just further exacerbate the victim state. You try to manifest, you try to empower yourself, and by trying to empower yourself, by trying to prove your empowerment to yourself in the form of manifestation, you only dig a deeper hole of the shit isn't working, and I'm not loved, and I'm not worthy, and I'm not capable. And apparently the universe doesn't want me to have what I want to have, and all that. So you got to be very careful with this. It's a very self-destructive mechanism, this manifestational art, if you don't apply it with these proper understandings. This is why I spent a session first on this context. This is why some things come easily to you when you wish them into being, while other things seem to eternally elude you or not be granted to you. This is because some manifestations would distract you from your true desire for learning and balancing and realizing, while those manifestations which come effortlessly to you do not distract from your purpose. They might even enhance it. So if you're manifesting something that's truly in alignment with your focus, your desired focus in this life, it generally manifests effortlessly to support you. But if you're desiring something that goes against your true desire, which you might not be aware of, you tend to struggle. It tends to not work out for you that well, and you go upstream. With these two disclaimers in mind, or these two laws, if you will, and with the willingness to understand your limitations and their benevolent reasons for being, meaning the universe is not against you, it is all happening for you, it is now safe to begin to apply your manifestational abilities with greater liberty. Just make sure you maintain the humility required to know that you don't see the full picture, and to have faith in the fact that the full picture is benign. It is benevolent, loving, and in complete and total support of your heart's true desires. This knowledge and faith will allow you to respect your limitations as relevant illusions, temporarily placed upon your experience for the purpose of true ascension into limitlessness. Understanding these two primary guidelines and respecting them, and perceiving the loving nature behind them, you can now much more harmoniously work with them, and your perceived limitations can actually change much faster because you're no longer just trying to push them away, but instead you are learning what you truly wish to learn first, before you attempt to lift a specific limitation or drastically alter your conditions. There's a reason you have the life that you have, like it or not. In other words, you got to find out what that reason is and align with that reason. Otherwise, you're fighting yourself, and there's no way out of that. Your soul will always win. When it comes to the art of manifesting your experiential reality, it is crucial that you learn to work with your greater self and not go against it with vain, limited ideas or wants. Then, your life can be a true, ongoing series of joyful manifestations that help you further focus yourself according to your true purpose in this life. This will serve your soul and the whole of existence the most. The most holistic and direct way to manifest. You are. Period. This beingness is equal to the deepest level involved in manifestation, the level of essence and potential. Experientially, this level is felt as that pure sense of I exist, without any additives, forms, concepts, or associations. Experiencing this level of yourself, when tuned into purely, is akin to what the Indians have termed Satchitananda, which translates into English roughly as beingness, consciousness, bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Or I am, awareness, bliss. As pure I am, you are awake happiness itself, the seat of all potential creation, the essence of the manifest creation. At this level, you are fulfilled and essentially complete, even though even this level is still actively on a journey in a nonlinear sense. In the sense that even this God level is still a manifestation of absolute source, and is active or manifest for the purpose of learning and expressing the mysterious, infinite nature and limitless potential of absolute source. But for almost all intents and purposes, relevant to individuated beings like ourselves, the level of essence/potential, aka that pure formless essential I am, is completeness and happiness or bliss itself. One step down from this level, we have the causal level of conception. This is the first level where this pure formless I am becomes identified as this or that. It is the birth of specificity and distinguishable experiential realities. As such, this is the level that is most direct when it comes to manifesting a difference in your experiential reality. Qualifying I am with this or that. You can qualify your I am with whatever you wish to see in your experiential reality. By taking on the concept you wish to see manifest into the energetic and physical planes. As Gandhi famously stated, be the change you wish to see in the world. Qualifying your I am, especially when done with more complete knowledge of your reasons for being and why you have an experiential reality in the first place, is arguably the purest, cleanest, most holistic, direct, and aligned way to step into a greater awareness of your innate manifestational capacity and begin to utilize this innate power to your actual soul's advantage. What does it mean to qualify the I am? It means to infuse this pure, formless awareness of existing with a quality. In other words, by embodying the conviction in something specific. In simple terms, it is the act of adding a concept to the sense of I am. In language, you could see this as simply adding a word or two to the end of the words I am. For instance, I am abundant. I am beautiful. I am rich. I am happy. I am healthy. I am satisfied. I am powerful. I am loved and loving. I am being of service to the whole. I am limitless, etc. Essentially, you can add to your essential I am whatever quality you wish your innately free and formless essence to pour its intelligent energy into. You can sculpt I am into virtually anything. As long as it agrees with the two laws or primary limitations which I explained above, you're good to go. The result of qualifying your I am properly with conviction and purity of intent and faith in its outcome and in your worthiness of that outcome, whether or not it happens, but faith nevertheless in its outcome and your worthiness of the outcome, yet with an openness to be guided according to your higher relevance or purpose, to not insist upon that outcome, even though you have full faith in the essence of that outcome, to be open, to be guided to an even higher outcome that you couldn't picture before. And when you do not insist against your higher wisdom for your incarnational theme, the result then is that this causal vibrational quality will then manifest in the most intelligent ways it possibly can, while still honoring whatever you truly wish to learn, balance, realize, etc., on a soul level. Existence is kind and merciful. It will do its very best to give you whatever you believe you desire, as long as it does not go against what it knows you truly desire. It will do its very best to fulfill both your soul and your conscious mind at once. It is only where these two are not in harmony that the power of God will choose to prioritize your soul's desire over your physical mind's desire. This is, again, why it is so important to first respect and align to why you are here in the first place, and to cultivate gratitude and humility for all the challenges that are thrown your way. You desire these challenges, otherwise they would not occur. This needs to be known. If you embrace your current challenges and seemingly non-preferable manifestations fearlessly, if you step up to the plate, essentially, if you face them directly, you essentially accept and align to your very own soul's desires, which you have forgotten because of the veil of forgetfulness, which comes with incarnation in the 3D earth plane. And by harmonizing with your true desires, through gratitude and humility and courage, you can now have essentially anything you desire. Again, all else shall be added on to you, in a way that only helps you further focus as your soul desires you to focus your energies in this life. Just don't go against yourself with your limited conscious mind's will. Instead, align with your own greater will, and from there, qualify your I am with beautiful states of consciousness. Not only is it the most aligned way to manifest, it is also the most powerful, direct, and effective, because it goes straight to the highest two levels involved in the mechanics of manifestation: the I am and the causal level of conception. So it's I am plus this or that, according to your choosing. And so it is this I am plus this or that which shall manifest for you, as long as it is in agreement with these two primary laws: the law of confusion or free will, and the law of personal relevance or purpose. Respect these two laws, and the sky is only the beginning to what you can materialize. And you may find that real miracles are starting to penetrate into your reality in loving, subtle ways which do not disrupt the journeys of others or yourself. The more humble, grateful, and open you become, the more you will be allowed to request for or even command with the power of your I am plus this or that quality. Final statement. Bottom line of all this, you are essentially limitless in truth, but you have accepted certain limitations for a reason. And ultimately, all limitations exist to focus your entire beingness towards union with God, your true self.
Massaro University is a vibrant online community dedicated to accelerating your awakening and activating your purpose for the benefit of all. Join live sessions with Bentinho and workshops led by experienced facilitators. Deepen your wisdom, empowerment, and self-knowledge, and experience life-changing shifts week after week. At Massaro University, finding like-hearted seekers is easy and inevitable. Lifelong friendships and a shared purpose fuel profound personal and collective growth. Create your free account today at massaro.university and step into a community that's designed to elevate every aspect of your life.
Here's a relevant question to this by Yolandi. Hallo Yolandi, ik ben Bentinho. Regarding manifestation, how does one discern between an imbalance holding one back and a limitation ensuring one's sole purpose? Excellent question. Very common question, but still an excellent question. Everyone bumps into this. So again, regarding manifestation, how does one discern between an imbalance holding one back and a limitation ensuring one's sole purpose? There is no difference. So these seem to be two different things, but they're the same mechanism. You see, if you have an imbalance that's holding back your manifestation, and let's say that this imbalance, which limits your manifestation, is not directly related to your core soul's purpose, for instance. Or at least it's not one of those primary limitations that will ensure that you're going down a certain theme in your life of exploration. So in that case, the limitation is created by simply a lack belief, something your mom told you or your dad told you, or something you've picked up in entertainment or media. So if it's just an imbalance or a limiting belief like that, ultimately, the mechanism is the same, the approach is the same as if it were an actual sort of soul level limitation imposed upon your life. Why? Because the mechanism is exactly the same. If you resolve that imbalance, if you're using that apparent limitation to work through that imbalance, then that limitation, that restriction will be lifted. So, if anything, the only distinction would be smaller and larger rules, or smaller and larger limitations, or short term and long term limitations, or more flexible and less flexible limitations. But the situation is the same, because if you took this to a bigger level, so to speak, and if we're talking about a limitation that is ensuring that you follow your soul's true purpose and don't get too distracted, if it's one of those sort of pre-incarnational limitations, if you are actually on your path completely and you're able to stay on your path completely out of your own free wisdom, the limitation will disappear. And the same applies to that quote unquote smaller limitation, or the limitation that you picked up as a belief in this life, or an imbalance that you picked up by some action you took, or some belief you adopted. Same approach. If you resolve that imbalance, then that limitation no longer needs to be in place. And so it will be naturally lifted. You don't have to wish fulfill your way out of that. It will naturally be lifted. Once you have internalized the lesson, learned from it what you actually want to learn from it, because then you're no longer in balance. So then why would there be that restriction? So there's just you could say micro and macro, or as above, so below kind of a distinction, but the mechanism is the same. So in either case, you don't really need to know which one it is, per se, to do the work, is my point. It's the same approach. You go to the imbalance, you figure out what it is, and you learn what you need to learn to be back in balance, to be back in purity, on your way to perfection and flawlessness, with all humility. There's a question about shepherds by Joy. While we are becoming shepherds, does manifestation even apply to us? In my experience, personal preference gets squashed. Love you, brother. Love you too. Well, it's definitely going to continue to be a part of your experiential reality, because there's no way without it. So it would serve you to know more about this, to understand the nuances. But you are correct in that it's not a focal point. We're not trying to manifest specific things so much, because it is about purification and becoming in our frequency, in our state of being, becoming closer and closer to that perfection of the one infinite creator. And then as a result, manifestations will flood in behind you to support you in the wake of your direction. It will support you. It will create a slipstream behind you that pushes you forward. A vacuum slipstream, which works differently than a water slipstream. But it's behind you, and then it propels you forward. So then these manifestations and the things that nourish you and nurture you and that embolden you and empower you and that enrich you and that allow you to flow more freely through life will begin to be added on to you, because your focus is purity. And your focus is to really understand why your soul is even here, to be in alignment. So humility is more important for shepherds than mastering the art of manifestation. I completely agree with you on that. But I would say that those higher up the vibrational frequency ladder, or the purity ladder, for lack of better words, are naturally better manifestors because they are manifesting more in alignment with who they really are. And they don't spend so much bandwidth and time going against the flow of why they're really here, and then wondering down the road why they're still unhappy, why things aren't really flowing in the way they thought they wanted it, and so on and so forth. So it's still going to be part of your experience as an aspiring shepherd, and much more so than perhaps it is today. But it becomes more of the nature of natural miracles that just sort of happen around you and for you, synchronicities and so on and so forth. And less will it be about, sitting in your room and creating a vision board. Doesn't mean it cannot be helpful. You can still do that, and these things will drop in. And one of the nuances of manifestation that I've noticed throughout my journey is the more effortless you make it, the more effortless it will show up. So that's why things like vision boards can be more productive than daily visualization, because you don't put a lot of significance on it. You're with a group, you're at a workshop, you get together with a little subgroup, you talk about your heart's desires, or at least what you think are your heart's desires. Whether or not you're accurate in that depends on your level of humility and clarity. But let's say it's fairly accurate. You kind of know what you want and why you're here. But even if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You can still use these laws as long as they don't conflict with those two primary limitations. So then you create a vision board, and just in a single session of half an hour where you cut things out of magazines and you embellish them with your beautifully colored pencils, and everything is encircled by rainbows, and you have your yacht and you have your house and you have your perfect boyfriend and you have your this or that. You completely forget about it. But what you'll see is, almost in all cases, when you look back, when you find one of those vision boards and you completely forgot about them from 5 years ago, you can see that a lot of these things, if not all of them in some way, shape, or form, to some degree, have come true. And sometimes even the exact house that you didn't even know you put on there, or the exact country, or the exact kind of boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever it is. So I've noticed there's great power in just dropping a bomb and letting it go, dropping a bomb and letting it go, dropping an inspirational bomb and letting it go. So when you find yourself excessively trying to visualize it, in my experience, it doesn't work. It creates friction. It creates a counterproductive energy. It creates an obsessive ego that's no longer in touch with its humility. It stifles your spiritual ascension. It makes you lose sight of what's really important. You create this alter ego personal self that you don't want to begin with because it's causing all your problems. But there's nothing wrong with being in an inspired mode and sharing with some people that are of a similar frequency. In other words, you don't want to share it with naysayers and skeptics, because they'll destroy your dreams if you're not 100% absolutely convinced of them yourself. So you can share your dreams, you can picture your dreams, you can step into that frequency briefly, maybe even every day if you want to, but make it a lighthearted thing. The more lighthearted and less insistent that you do these processes, the less obsessed you are over them, the more they are like, oh, whatever. Let me just, why not picture for the next 3 minutes? Why not picture this amazing, swimming pool and sunset with my favorite margarita? I know it's got very little to do with my soul's purpose and journey, but there's nothing wrong with having that experience along the way on my journey. Absolutely. So why not? Let me picture that. It feels good. I feel nourished because I've been working hard for 2 months straight. And yes, I would love to chill by a pool and be inspired and have some lovely company around me. And so you add to I am that experience, that essence, that frequency, that picture, that feeling. And you just spend 2-3 minutes, that's all, in that energy, as purely as you can. Enjoy it as if it's already done. And then you completely forget about it. Go back to work, even if it is. And then you will see that it will happen because you didn't make a big deal out of it. But everything that you make a big deal out of will not happen for you until you stop making a big deal out of it. And it's much more fluid to do it the way that I'm sharing it, the lighthearted way. Just drop a little bomb and forget about it. Drop a little inspirational bomb. Plant that seed into the ground, into the soil of I am. Know that somehow it is done, but absolutely don't need it to happen. Continue with your life as it's currently showing up. Forget about it. This is the effortless way, and I highly recommend this because then you can continually focus on purification. And yet these things will flow in because you're letting them, and you are activating more of that subtler mind and that causal mind in your co-creative capacity. And again, if it's not against your soul's purpose, and if it's not infringing upon the law of free will or confusion, then there is no reason why that shouldn't happen, unless you're holding it back with a limiting belief. But then again, then you'll notice that, because then you'll think you really want that thing that you're not getting, and therefore it's going to show you your limiting beliefs pertaining to that subject because you want it so much and you're struggling with it. Then you do the work, you dissolve that, and then the thing you no longer want will show up for you. Very annoying, I know. But then you'll see that you can more and more effortlessly do this, so you don't have to make it such a big deal, like, oh, I want this so bad, I want this so bad, why isn't it not happening? And then finally, after years of sort of like, feeling abandoned or betrayed, or like, oh, I can't have this anyway, like, if you're in a proper state enough, it will show up anyway. And then you're like, well, you're 2 years late, I'm not that interested anymore. But you won't have to create that sort of long-term sort of pushback and struggle, and now I don't want it anymore, and now it comes when I let it go. So instead, if you just make it subtler, make this process of manifestation subtler, make it lighthearted, make it joyful, don't give a shit about it, then it's going to happen fluidly. And then it's going to flood in when you actually still do want it, because you've not built up this whole story and resentment against that topic. So now, sitting by the pool, you won't feel like, finally, like, is this really what it took? You'll be like, oh, hey, I'm sitting by the pool, I'm having a margarita, and my best friend's sitting next to me, we're smoking a cigar, and there's a sun. Well, what do you know? There's a sunset. You're actually enjoying it and appreciating it because you kept it lighthearted all the way. You didn't make any big deal out of anything. And this serves two purposes. One, it allows you to use your manifestational capacities all the way from I am through the causal, through the subtle, through the physical, without struggle, without getting your physical mind in the way, trying to create it and will it. You're allowing the process of creation as it actually is designed to happen, from subtler to more physical. So A, you're going to be smoother and better at manifesting. Not that you care. It's no longer a badge that you walk around with. It's just the nature of life. Synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. Flow after flow after flow. And you're enjoying it. It's nourishing you. But it is because, here's the second benefit, it allows you to stay focused on what actually is important. You don't stop your spiritual journey to try and manifest this reality that you think you want. It's a very unnatural flow. So I hope this is clear. I think this is clear. I trust you guys understand what I'm saying here. If not, feel free to ask about it. So essentially, you don't need a lot of techniques. You don't need methods, because that's already a sign that you care too much. You're not appropriately focused as to why you're here. You're not in alignment with your soul's purpose. Stop caring so much about what you get, what you think you need. Start flowing, start moving forward. Look towards the greater possibilities. Look towards your soul. Why are you here? Start being of service to others, and all else shall be added on to you. And the essence of all manifestation is I am that. You can do methods, visualizations, vision boards, but all you're really doing when you're doing vision boards and all that stuff is you're stepping into the frequency, and you cannot not be I am. So your I amness is inevitably involved with whatever visualization you do. So what you're actually doing when you're visualizing your desired reality is you are adding something to I am. You are blending, you're infusing your I amness, which is inevitable, inescapable. It's hearing my voice right now. It's seeing you do your vision board. It's seeing you struggle. It's seeing you let go. It's seeing you get what you want or not get what you want, all these things. The I am is inevitable. It's always there. So whatever you're exposing yourself to, and this is the essence of the law of attraction, is whatever you continue to observe, aka infuse your I amness with. Because there's no difference between me observing this wall over here and being really attentive to it and observing the wall. Oh, look at that wall, look at that wall, look at that wall. All I'm doing is I'm filling up my I am with the frequency, the formula, the energetic signature that is that wall. So I'm going to attract more walls like that into my life because I'm infusing my I amness with the frequency of that particular wall. I should have picked a better example. Now I'm going to see all these walls. So cancel. Ah. So you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be a manifestation whore where you just struggle upstream all the time. And you're like, you've got all these tiny little tweaks. And then if you say this, you're going to cancel it with that. And then if this happens, oh yeah, then this method. And oh my God, get a life, right? So we don't want that. We don't want to be manifestation whores. We just don't. We want to honor God's purpose in creating creation to begin with. And we want to honorably embody that within ourselves. And even if you're looking at it from an individuated point of view and you want what you want, fair enough, then at least understand that you want what your soul wants. You're fighting yourself if you tried to not accept that first. That's why the path, as Ra explains it also, is know yourself, know your purpose, know your weaknesses, know your flaws, know your personal mind, but also know why you are here. Then accept yourself, accept your limitations, accept what you've presently manifested, accept that it has a benevolent purpose behind it. The universe loves you. It's not against you. You're against it. And then through that acceptance, you can stop being against the universe. And now you can become the creator, aka manifester, if you want to call it that as well. What's the relationship between service to others, this is by Katrine, and self-care? Is the second, self-care, a condition for the first? Do we need to balance, or is service to others a natural result of self-realization? Those are two different questions, I think. Did it just pop up to the top? Yeah. So what's the relationship between service to others and self-care? Okay. Is the second, self-care, a condition for service to others? There's a bunch of questions in here. Do we need to balance, or is service to others a natural result of self-realization? Those are all separate questions. So I don't quite get the single sentence and or, but I will try to address all these. So what is the relationship between service to others and self-care? The relationship is holistic, as anything true, any true path is. So if you're committed to service to others, in order to be of service to others, you need to be well nourished, Like if you truly care about being of service to others to max capacity, then you need gas in the tank to do that. This is why martyrdom is a distortion. It's a sweet distortion. It's a well-intended distortion. And there's different nuances to this, and sometimes martyrdom can be a very wise decision. But on the whole, martyrdom in terms of burning yourself out or sacrificing yourself too much for no good reason, just because you really want to help, doesn't allow you to help past that point of burnout, or doesn't allow you to help as consistently and as fully and as joyfully. And I've often said, if you're not happy, you're not helping. So the relationship between self-caring, or you could say service to self in that way, not a negative service to self, not a manipulation of others for the gain of self, but a service to self in terms of loving yourself, caring for yourself, and then being able to be of service to others are related. You could even say they're almost proportionally related. However, don't get hung up on self-care. Don't stop your spiritual journey, and don't stop being of service to others so that you can do your vision board and you can fulfill everything you want, right? So there's a flow to this. And what I've found is that when I'm being of service to others, unless there's some weird imbalance at play, I'm being nourished, usually. Not always. There needs to be a balance. Sometimes I'm giving too much, and I do need to take a bit of a pause. I do need to recharge myself by not being around people, for instance. But that doesn't have anything to do with my soul so much, or my consciousness, or the limitations there. It's more of a physics thing. It's more of a subtle body and physical body needs. So yes, you got to understand that, honor that, and nourish yourself. Like I said, visualize yourself by a pool. If you don't like your current situation, but you do love what you're doing, you do love being of service to others and what you're focused on in your journey, and you're proud of yourself for that, it feels good. It feels like it's aligned with your soul. But you don't feel nourished in your day-to-day environment or in your relationship or in the environment that you live in, take some time to know that you're worth a fluid, loving, harmonious, nourishing environment. It's okay to take a moment to do that, to realize that. And then activate that with I am, plus the image and feeling, the qualitative state of what it feels like to sip on your favorite margarita, non-alcoholic, of course, and watch the sunset with your best friend while you're smoking a cigar. Or not smoking a cigar if you don't like cigars. Your loss. But you get the point. Mm. Nothing wrong with that. You want the periphery of your life's purpose, right? You've got your goal, you've got your focus, you've got your purification, you've got the fire of truth, you've got the fearlessness with which you want to be of service and learn for yourself as well. And then there's the periphery, there's the circumstantial stuff that just kind of floods in. Because no matter where you go, you can give a workshop in China in an urban situation, or you can give a workshop in Hawaii in a beautiful natural situation. Pick the one that's most relevant, pick the one that's most nourishing for all involved, including self. Because why not? So if you're creating negative situations for yourself that seem unnecessary, then the only reason they're there is because you don't think you're worthy of it. So there is an imbalance there. So again, it is benevolent, even though it's persisting in what you don't want, and it's a persistent reflection of unworthiness. The message behind that reflection or limitation of being in an urban situation that you don't like, in a 9-to-5 situation with a partner you don't really love anymore. The reason that's there, while you're trying your best to be of service and follow the purity of your own path, is because of an imbalance. Therefore, it is a benevolent reflection, because you can't proceed half-assed. You can't proceed disabled, spiritually speaking. So you do have to deal with that. You do have to look at what the nature of that idea is. And you do want to replace that with a spirit view, a spirit-infused view. In other words, a truth-infused view of yourself. So the core of this is, in order to be able to be of service to others, you need to have a high view of yourself. Now, not arrogantly, erratically, like, oh, I'm on top of the world, I'm a mirror, I'm like Jesus reincarnated. You got to have a true view of yourself. A true view means I am God. There's no way around it. I am one with God, and I am powerful, and therefore I am worthy, and all happens in my favor and in the favor of all. When you have that true view, these restrictions will move out of the way. And then your mind will expand. You will start to think in terms of loving, self-loving, nourishing possibilities instead of martyrdom or restrictive possibilities. Because your mind expands, because that belief system drops away. So now you're still committed to your purpose in life. You're still standing in the purification fire of why you're actually here, accepting the limitations that are in place. But you start infusing your I am with much prettier walls and much more nourishing environments for you to do what you're here to do, because why not? So again, I see it as these things follow in the wake of your direction. As long as your direction is according to your soul's purpose, then by all means, feel worthy of all the good stuff, because it will just support you and nurture you, knowing that that's the best way to sustainably develop momentum in service to others. I hope that makes sense. Is self-care a condition for the first? I kind of answered that. Do we need to balance? Always a good thing. Is service to others a natural result of self-realization? Yes. If self-realization is deep, and if it's true, and if it has a lasting effect on your consciousness, then service to others will more and more be automatic. It won't require any will. In fact, it would take a whole lot of will to not try to be of service to others. Similar to what Ramana Maharshi said once, he said, As difficult, I'm paraphrasing, as difficult as it is for the seeker to stop thinking, it's equally as difficult for the sage to think. Same with service to others. As difficult as it is for a personal self that's personally motivated and personally identified with the body quite rigidly, as difficult as it is for such a person to be courageous enough, free-flowing, generous enough, giving enough to be of service to others consistently, it is just as difficult, if not more, I would say impossible, because you can't go against what you've realized. For someone who's self-realized to commit an act against service to others, it's virtually impossible. It is impossible. It's impossible. I'll just state it that way. It's impossible. It cannot be done. One would have to lose or lower one's state of consciousness significantly, and then it could be done. But from a self-realized state or a strong connection, it's not possible to be motivated against service to others. Could you provide a clear, Nasrin Golden, could you provide a clear explanation and definition of what constitutes genuine service to others? Just to kind of complete this subtopic that I've already started with the previous question. It's actually quite difficult to define because it's so simple. Like any definition already makes it complex and artificial. So I could provide you definitions and they might inspire you, but at the heart of it, isn't it the easiest thing? Isn't it the simplest state to be in? To be of service to someone? Does it need a definition? Do you really not understand the difference between wanting something for yourself versus wanting something on behalf of someone else according to what you at least believe or sense would serve them, and to be humbly available for that in whatever way you're inspired to do so, without infringing, without imposing? It's not that difficult. It's a matter of motivation. And that comes from where your awareness is at. If you're aware of the whole, if you're aware of your partner, if you're aware of your family unit or your community or your classroom or whatever it might be, and you're tuned in, it's even subtler than that. I mean, like I said, it becomes difficult to define it when it's automatic, because it's the only thing. Like it's the only reason you say what you say, do what you do, breathe what you breathe, smoke what you smoke. So maybe see if you just can connect to the frequency of that. The idea of it is as difficult for the sage to think as it is for the seeker not to. And it is as difficult for the sage to be of service to self, other than self-nourishment and self-care. But negative self-service is as difficult for the sage as it is for an angry little person to be of service to others. So what would it be like if service to others was automatic? Just imagine, what if for you, there was a high awareness activated? Almost like this, you could visualize it. Let's see. Even visualization is a definition of what's natural, but it can help. Picture, so take a deep breath. Let's do a mini meditation on this. Let's activate automatic service to others in you. Why not? And this will make sure that whatever you learn in consequent sessions about manifestation, then we can dive into the nuances of this. And because it will guarantee that you're not going to take this against your soul's intended direction and or others. So take a deep breath, perhaps close your eyes or whatever is most comfortable for you. And we're setting the intention right now as a group field, as a collective, that we know that on a true level of seeing, a higher awareness within our very own soul, the essence of our beingness, there exists a clarity, a wisdom, a vision, an awareness of the oneness of all beings that naturally, automatically motivates and instructs us towards service to others in all our actions and joys and excitements and passions and manifestations. It is automatically so. Because it is automatically so, it is innately so, it is intrinsically there, instructing us all the time. We can activate it. We're just confused, we're distracted from it, but it exists in the very essence of what we are. So we don't have to fight our way into service to others. We don't have to prove it by making sure that 80% of our activities are somehow in service to others. It's not a measurement game like that. All we have to do is connect to this level, this higher level awareness, which you could picture like a field of bright white light, like a plenum, like a field. And it could be horizontal if you want, meaning it could be two-dimensional almost. Picture a two-dimensional field that exists within your awareness, within your greater spherical awareness. That awareness which is aware of my voice right now, that's aware of the room that you're in, it's aware that this session is happening. And picture that somewhere above your crown, whatever resonates for you, 2-3 meters above your crown, or closer is fine too. But pretend or imagine that there is this expansive field of pure white energy that sees the oneness of everything, that knows, intrinsically knows. Even when you don't focus on it with your physical mind, on this oneness all the time, it knows. It deeply, profoundly, strongly knows and radiates into your crown, into the entire background of your mind, into your entire nervous system. It streams down this constant inspiration from this field of unity, an energy of innocence, of purity, of delight, a delight for the potential of humanity, the potential of everyone that you meet, the potential of the person that perhaps you're resonant with or interested in to open up, to awaken to this without your insistence, without your self-insertion. Just it instructs you to be available to the people around you, to be their protector, to be their guide, from the quietude, from the subtlety, from the non-showing off anything of your natural state. Just available, radiating awareness, attentiveness. And this higher self-awareness is always inspiring you towards unity and to help generate, to help spark, to help ignite, to help awaken that unity awareness, that liberation, that surrender in others to their own unified self. Now, this field of bright white light, of wholeness, of oneness, is always communicating its subtle energy into your bodies. It's your constant guide. It's why you don't feel good when you do something bad. It's why you feel guilty. Now, you don't have to feel guilty, just learn from it and reconnect to your true energy. But guilt is guidance. Knowing you're out of integrity is something everyone innately has because of this field of perfect integrity and oneness that always guides us like a true north. So why not let it guide you? Why not let it be automatic? Why not make that your highest passion? Instead of the car that you want, the house that you want, the boyfriend you want, the child that you want, the money that you want, why not trust in your own spirit. Because this life is going to be over in a blink, my friends. And guess what? You're not going to drive your Ferrari into the afterlife. Nor are you going to ride your boyfriend into the afterlife. So this story is short story. This is a very short story. So live here to give, live here to be heroic, not to show off, but just be heroic. Just be epic. Be that ultimate character in the movie that inspires you so much. Why go to the movies to be that? Be it yourself. Be that hero. And all that means is be humble and be of service to others. Make that your primary passion. Make that your true north, which it already is, which is why you feel bad when you live for yourself, which is why you create these stinky little ponds and don't let the water flow and stay clean like a river. This is why you accumulate and gather and hoard and make it about you and have all these processes and all these investigations that you need to try to purify yourself, but you're all still making it about you. Why not live a little more fearlessly? Let this unity perspective instruct you, because that's what's eternal. And that's what you'll take with you. Whatever actions you took based on this instruction, you will take with you. That's the learning, that's the balancing. And this will serve you greatly. So there's less and less probability that you have to crawl your way through another birth canal. And start all over again. And hopefully find another good teacher. And so on and so forth. There is a chance that you've had lives where you were more enlightened than you are in this one. And you're still catching up. You get how annoying that is. Now, you will learn and balance, and so on the whole, this life will serve you in addition to what you've already accomplished. But it's very possible that there's parallel lives, call them past lives if you want, but they can be future too, where you've already gone through this stuff, and you've done it at a higher level than you have so far. You've purified, you've stepped into the light, you've relinquished your sense of self more than you have in this life, where you didn't have these processes anymore, where you were living automatically in service to others in the light of the Creator, where you were manifesting little miracles left and right and opening hearts. But you wanted to go through the birth canal again and have to relearn a lot of this stuff. So why not utilize that this time and inspire yourself to let go of your selfish intent? Because all that selfish intent is, the only reason you want that Ferrari or that house or that boyfriend or that child or that money is because you're not living your purpose. I repeat, the only reason you want that Ferrari, that boyfriend, that child, that money, that house, is because you're not living your purpose. So let go of your dreams. Let go of your dreams completely. I dare you. Be the hero. And be free. Then watch what happens. You'll get 8 Ferraris and 6 boyfriends, 5 children. And now your problem is not going to be processing your own stuff. It's going to be how to handle 5 boyfriends and 8 Ferraris. That's going to be your problem now. Because you've let go of your dreams. That's heroic. What that is you've died. There's nothing to this false little limited processy, stinky little pond hoarding all the water for itself until bacteria invested and grow in it. Self, there's nothing to this self other than not living your purpose. It's an effect, it's a result. It doesn't exist. The ego doesn't exist. The negative ego doesn't exist. The selfishness doesn't exist as a real thing. It's an effect like a rainbow. It's the effect of sunlight and water. A rainbow doesn't exist. It's an effect of two other things. The ingredients of your purpose and your physical mind not living your purpose equals the negative selfish ego construct. Effect. It's an ego effect. There's no ego. It's the ego effect. It's the effect of not living your purpose fully, bravely, heroically. But the moment you do, you're free of your false wants. And it's very likely that the things you truly desired, which sometimes we have a sense of, even from our personal distorted self, when we think we want a Ferrari, there might be some relevance to having a fast, beautiful car that is in alignment with nourishment and that is in alignment with your purpose of demonstrating something to the world, perhaps. So then you will find these things will manifest. They will be added on to you. But without any of the stress or big dealness or significance or struggle, where you're trying to get it for yourself. All that time wasted on an effect, it's like trying to find the rainbow all the time, trying to grasp it, chasing it, riding after it. It doesn't exist. So let this bright, white, unified field where all souls exist inspire you and see this unified self in the beings you interact with, whether it's a dog, a blade of grass, a mosquito that you kill, or a human being you're of service to. In all actions, flow, trust your service to others, automatic mechanism. Don't doubt yourself. If you're willing to let go of your dreams, which means die to the lower self, so you can hear, see, breathe, become, and embody, be a walking channel of your higher self, your innate self. Then trust yourself. Trust those natural impulses. As long as you're not intruding upon anyone's reality, you're not enforcing anything upon anyone, it's safe to trust those inspirations, those nudges. Your soul is automatic service to self. To others. Your soul is automatic service to others already. Don't imprint the other one, huh? Your soul is automatic service to others. Automatic. Maybe more accurately, maybe this is why I slipped up, your higher self. So regardless of where your soul is at, where your individuated soul is at, which has to learn certain things and its own balances, so there is still some service to self. But from the higher self level onwards, which is essentially your soul's future state, that level, even beyond your soul, which is also you, it's just you down the line. Service to others is automatic from that level. The soul, in a way, cannot be helped to be service to self. It kind of needs to be, because it's figuring things out. So what I'm asking you to connect to is actually beyond your individual soul. It's beyond the spirit that leaves your body when your body dies. It's what that spirit remerges with, that higher self. Some people call this the soul too, so you could call that the soul as well, but it depends on what you mean by soul. But go beyond your soul, even while you're physical. You can do this. You can even go beyond your higher self. I've done it many times. I do it all the time. You can go to the Oversoul, which is one quantum step beyond the higher self. It's where there is total oneness with all that is, and individuation has been submerged in the ocean of allness. From that state, for sure, service to others is automatic, because there's no perception of self or others. So connect to that level, even beyond your individuated soul, which is still seeking. The soul is like a child. It's not that advanced. But you are more than just your soul or the spirit beyond this body. There's higher levels of you that you can connect to while you're physical in this life. Why not go high? Why not aim high? It will make the surrender of the personal self and everything it dreams of so much easier. Because you'll be filled with the energy that you thought you were going to get out of these manifestations anyway. What you're looking for is what I've called essence Q. Ferrari is your mind's interpretation of what will bring you essence Q. Essence Q is what you truly desire. You just think it's the Ferrari or the boyfriend or the child or the money or the house or being this or that or being seen or validated or being on stage or being a teacher, whatever it might be. Now, I'm not saying there is no truth to that. I'm saying there is truth to these desires, but they're mistranslated. The truth behind those desires is essence Q. It's just a random term I chose. Doesn't mean anything. Q doesn't stand for anything that I know of. But we can come up with some fun shit. But we all want essence Q. That's what we want. That's what's true. But we translate it from our stinky little pond of having to always protect ourselves and find our way and not knowing what's left and what's right and what's true and what's not and why we want these things that we apparently want. We've mistranslated it. We've applied a symbol to it. We've applied a symbol. We've attached that to our true desire, our essence Q. So yes, there is genuine desire behind your desire for that Ferrari or that boyfriend or that child or the money or the house. There is. You're not just a liar. You're not just full of shit in terms of what you want. There is some truth behind that. So you shouldn't suppress that. I'm saying release your dreams. Let go of all the symbols you've attached to Essence Q and watch what happens. Essence Q floods into your system like an unstoppable force. The moment you let go of these symbols and these dreams and these needs and these wants and these materializations and these methods and these tricks and these tips and these shortcuts and these videos. Surrender. This life is small, it's short, it doesn't matter. Go all out. Surrender. Essence Q will be with you, and it will materialize things without your effort. And occasionally, amplify your energy. Highlight it. If you want to picture yourself drive a Ferrari just because it feels cool, do it. Picture it. Infuse your I am with that state. Why not? But do it for 2-3 minutes. Don't do it for like fucking half an hour, twice a day, before bed, after bed. You know, drop a little bomb and move on with your life, with your purification. How can I be of service to others? And these things will be received by your consciousness, by your experience. I might take 2 questioners live here. I want to keep this session somewhat shorter than our previous sessions. I want to let this settle in. And then I'm very happy to talk more about manifestation, if that still feels relevant. I feel I've addressed most of this, but we can go into some of the nuances of the mechanics and the laws if you want. If that's interesting, if that will help somehow in the next session, perhaps. But this is a great foundation. This is what I wanted you to know, and this is why I couldn't feel the flow of just talking about techniques and methods and all that stuff. It just doesn't compute for me. It's not holistic, and it won't serve you. Not on its own, anyway.
Thank you for watching this Bentinho live session. Bentinho now hosts these transformative live sessions completely free, offering profound insights and guidance to support your journey. To attend the next live session with Bentinho, simply visit massaro.university and follow the instructions to create your free account.